Runaway automation. And this one I'm going to have to give you an example of at the end after I've gone through these. But I'm telling you, here's one of runaway automation causing a $400 million error in a matter of minutes. There's been one of those. Here's one that I got recently. Got server HTTP error. Fragment 7 is not found. With no clue where I'm getting it or why, but by golly, fragment 7 seems to be gone. Most communication these days requires encryption. TLS is underneath most HTTP and all sorts of other encryption schemes. And it relies on certificates, a web of trust. Those certificates have an expiration date for good reason. They do expire. And the person that was supposed to renew the certificates left the company, 3 years ago, and these certificates just expired now, and they are gone, and you don't have any. And in fact, you can't find the documentation that says where or how you are supposed to renew these certificates. They're gone. And suddenly you can't communicate with the world. There's just the general boring. The power is off. The network is off. There's mysterious shifts in workload that you have no clue why it did this. I was working with somebody about 3 years ago, and their system had been up and running and slowly growing, and they just reached the threshold where just that one last straw on the camel's back was enough to push the system over into chaos. And there was no change. It was just the workload had slowly crept larger until the day when the set of servers they had just couldn't handle it. And this can be workload, this can be memory. There's a lot of ways that the workload can just creep up on you. And it doesn't look like it's bad. The system wasn't that heavily loaded yesterday, but today it's just a little bit too much. A really good one is indexes in your database got dropped or corrupted. Databases, you look at most data models, lots of data models will have tens of thousands of tables and 50,000 indexes, 100,000 indexes to make it work right. And one of them is now gone. Or the amount of space that was allocated to that index was a fixed amount, and it is now full, which means that new stuff can't be written to it, and consequently the database system, like Oracle or Postgres, knows that that index is corrupted and quits using it. Or there's data corruption in the data underneath the index, and it happens to be in the root block, and consequently it read it, found out the index was no good, and marked it as dead. So index is just disappearing. I've also seen this happen to Mongo on a critical index, and it was still working for simple stuff, but as soon as it had to use that index, it just skipped it, and the performance was just horrible. Personnel changes. I've talked about the person leaving the company. There's also the person died, the documentation is gone, all sorts of personnel changes. Let alone the person is really miffed and they won't talk to you anymore ever again, and you really, really kind of needed that password. How about the system commits suicide? And you say, computer systems don't commit suicide, and we don't build them that way. Well, what about if you have a license key for some piece of software that you license, and when the key expires, the software quits working? That's committing suicide right there. And if you depend on that in your system, and oops, it's over, it's gone. Missing source code. You would think this wouldn't happen, but at least once a year on news.hacker.com, I see some sort of mention of some system or some software as a service company that loses some critical piece of software or critical piece of data or critical piece of code, and it's just gone. You aren't getting it back. And how about just your basic memory leaks? This happens lots in Java, where it has to garbage collect and has bad ramifications. Windows is notorious for this. In fact, at Expedia, which used to be a Microsoft company and consequently they use Windows servers, they regularly reboot all the servers to reclaim the memory because the operating system leaks. And I'm not certain if it's memories or file handles, but it leaks some kind of resource. So they have to reboot. And then comes the day when the reboot process takes too long and it runs into your production time and you can't reboot those servers anymore, and it takes down your entire network. Expedia has had that happen too. And there is the wonders of garbage collection. In the land of Java, garbage collection, takes way more resources than running your actual application, your Tomcat application, for example, or something like that. So you can only load your servers to a certain point. And they've improved this recently. It used to be you could only load it to about 20%. Now you can load it to about 31%. So they've had a big improvement, which means you have to have 70% of every system available and basically idle so that you can get the garbage collector to run without it taking days, literally, to garbage collect. So garbage collection. And if it does garbage collect and it doesn't have enough space, oops, so much for your system. How about that good library that you paid for, but now it has a flaw? They didn't test every possible contingency and you're stuck using it. Or just your network is slow. Why is your network slow? Oh, somebody else is having a distributed denial of service attack and you're sharing network with them. So it's just slow. Or how about just, the email system crashes the entire network? The example I'd like to use of this is England's National Health Service. Had a message that somebody sent out to the entire National Health Service. Well, that's good. They sent an email on a big email list. Okay. And then about 15 people did reply all. And the entire National Health Service's computer system crashed. The entire network for the entire country of England was down for 3 days. Because, yes, there was this message and people did reply all. So, reply all works well when there's 6 people and you really need to. And it doesn't work so good when there's 600,000 people and you reply to all of them all at once, multiple times. So I'd kind of like to break these down into 2 different kinds of failures. There's the failure when a node fails, and maybe it comes back, maybe it recovers, but there's a time period when it fails. And there's all the other kinds of failures which generally look like network failures. The network is slow, or the network is not doing the right thing. And if you look at information coming out of folks like Google as towards the distribution, they claim that in their database group that 97%, 97.2% of all of their database failures really have a network-based cause. So some of these things like data rot really aren't too common and can be caught and corrected, but it's really hard to deal with all the stuff that has to do with the network is broken, the person can't connect. Those are the real failures. And remember, the purpose of our Byzantine generals problem is to build a system that will withstand virtually any kind of failure and reach consensus. Now, if we have a network and we've got a bunch of nodes and they're not all talking to each other, some of them talk to intermediaries in between. One of those kind of failures is that intermediary that's doing the talking can split the network into 2 different pieces because it disappears, it fails, it has communication errors. And we're also going to have to deal with that eventually in the Byzantine stuff. But let's start out with the 2 generals problem. The 2 generals problem, you've got 2 generals that are attacking a city. And these 2 generals know that they have a big enough army if both of them work together to attack the city and succeed. Or if they just stay outside the city and wait, they can sit there and not do anything, and they will be fine to just come back the next day and fight another day. But if just one of them attacks, bad things happen. They will lose, and at that point their army will be too small to win, and they can't ever win. So the key to success is communicating and getting it right. And you got to think in terms of this of the way they communicate is they take some packet of data and they send it off to the other general to say either attack or wait. So there's a message that goes between the 2. And then you have to know whether or not the message actually worked, whether or not it got to that general or not, because in between lots of things can happen. The message could get lost and never arrive. The message sender could be attacked. The message itself could be corrupted. The message sender could be a traitor and switch the message from, say, attack to wait. Okay? The message sender could be replaced because they're in a malicious world and, let's just replace the message sender and swap the message. So, if you want to do this, you've got to come up with a set of communications. And this is out of the Lamport article, basically, where we talk about General A sending a communication that says, yes, attack in the morning. And General B saying, oh, yeah, let's do it. And he has to send that back. So there has to be an acknowledgement of the message. Now, for General B to know that General A actually received the acknowledgement, General A is going to have to send a message back to General B again, saying, acknowledged, I got the message. So in an ideal world, this is what happens. Now, if General B is a traitor, he could send it back and General A will attack, and General B will sit there and laugh. Conversely, the same thing can happen with General A. So there is the possibility of traitorous generals as well. Not necessarily malicious traitors, maybe just lazy traitorous. But with 2 nodes in a system, it works out, if you go through the Lamport paper, that there is no solution if you have traitors. There's no real way to get to a consensus. Now, when I talk about consensus, one of those details is that people think for some reason that consensus means that you picked the right thing. And consensus doesn't mean that. Consensus only means that you have reached a decision collectively where you have decided on one thing. Not that it's the right or the wrong. I mean, if you had a bigger number of generals and most of them decided not to attack, and that was the consensus, is not to attack, they're going to delay, then that would be the consensus. That doesn't mean that that's actually the right thing. It just means that that's the consensus.